little spanky spank. And that, son, is an important lesson in consent.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel today for a very special interview, one that's long overdue. And yes, now that the strike is over, our actors are returning back to work, equipped with better rights, better pay, and a better future that they deserve. So congratulations across the board to all of the actors and everyone involved in SAG and standing strong in procuring the deal that they deserve. But one of my favorite films this year is The Re-Education of Molly Singer, which is available right now on demand and digital. And one of the stars of that film is my guy, Zach Scheerer, who plays the character Stu, which, if you've seen my review, I was raving about his performance. And we'll obviously talk about that later on in the interview today. But when you talk about another iconic character in all the pop culture, should I just add in Stifler in American Pie, I felt the essence and truly, and I'll obviously explain all of this out later on in the episode. I just knew that Zach is a star, and I could not wait to talk to him about it. We have connected once the strike was over and resolved, and we knew we couldn't wait much longer, and we are here finally to talk about the film and all things Zach. So Zach Scheerer, my guy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. That was a great intro. I love it. Yeah. No, it's a long time coming, man. I mean, I've been wanting to get this interview going with you, and unfortunately, we had the SAG strike going on, so that kind of played a bad role into it. But here we are. So it's good.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I wish you were able to really, be celebrating within the essence of the success of this film. It's a fantastic film. I had a chance to talk to the director, Andy Palmer, and while he led a campaign and promoting the film, and a lot of folks got out there, checked out the film, and got their reviews out there. Across the board, there was just really a fantastic cast of folks who just really went out there and just put together solid work, from the likes of Britt Robertson, who's our lead, Ty Simpkins, who's just having a fantastic year in his own, Nico Santos, Scheerer Ramirez. The list goes on and on and on. But you being a face in the name I was not familiar with, I was just so blown away that I was just kind of checking credits. It's like, how have I never seen this guy? And again, as I mentioned, your character, Stu Gable, who comes and enters the film about midway, but literally just shakes things up, really sets a new tone of the film that just makes this a must-watch film. So many laughs, so many good moments, and truly one, if you hadn't seen, you want to go out the way and do so. So I want to start from the beginning with you here. When this was, as I say, when it hits your email or the opportunity present itself, talk me through that. Talk me through your excitement about wanting to be a part of this film, and then once you did land this role, I definitely want to know about the research, the preparations, all that good stuff, in order to really body into Stu the way you did.
For sure. So I had worked with Andy on a project in the past, actually 2 projects. And Andy and I kind of started a relationship, got to know each other pretty well. I love Andy. I mean, me and Andy are super tight. But the thing is once that landed in my lap and I read that script, I immediately was drawn to Stu. I called Andy and I said, I got to play Stu. You got to let me play Stu. And it was it was some hoops that we had to jump through, because there were some big names that wanted to play that guy. I mean, not like gigantic names, but names that definitely had me outdone right now to where my career is, and the trajectory of where I wanted to go just was not quite there yet. However, calling Andy, we chatted about the character. I let him know what I thought about the character, what I wanted to do with the character. And he was all for it. He pushed for me, and here we are. So I got it. And There was a little bit of nervousness, I think, going into
Yeah.
it, just because some of the people that were involved in the project. I mean, I worked on some pretty decent sized shows with some bigger individuals, but being toe to toe with Britt Robertson and being toe to toe with Jaime Pressly and Holland
Yeah.
Roden and Scheerer Ramirez, these guys that have been in the business for forever. For me to go toe to toe with them when I'm honestly just a little baby in this industry, it did kind of it put me in a spot where I knew I had to either sink or swim. And I'm not a sinker, and I never will be. So you throw me in the water, baptize me under fire, and I will make it work. So I sat down with Andy. We went over it. He had me read some of the scenes with him, and he was my guy. He went all out for me, and we did have a small instance where I was like, oh no, there's a guy that's involved that wants to get involved in play Stu right now, to where, oh man, are they going to fight for me? And Andy did, so I got to give him that double thumbs up on that. So I can't thank him enough for that.
Good decision, my guy, Andy. Good
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy. So I apologize for the lighting, man. I tried to get into some natural light, and now out here in California, the sun's going down. So,
Oh, I'm
and
just
it's and
jealous,
it's only like noon. So,
I mean,
Mhm.
I'll trade you all day, every day. I'm here in DC, and it's definitely getting dark very quickly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I truly, and again, just so anybody don't feel like there's any bias here, I've never met you, we've never had a conversation, and obviously the strike was in place where we weren't, having communications of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sorts. But I just could not help but to be blown away because one, I think the story itself is very fun, but there's a lot of nostalgia in the story, and then there's obviously a very rich message within the story. But when I
Right.
talk about some of the films that really drew me to cinema, I can't help but to go back to American Pie.
Well,
And,
yeah, I
and,
mean
and
that's the esk of it, and everybody misses those. We miss those movies, man. To have that back, I mean, I would watch this movie even if I had no part of it, even if Andy didn't have a part of it, the producing partner Warner,
yep.
I'd still watch it. This would be my type of jazz. So,
And that's exactly what I said. This is my type of film. And then, anybody, as I mentioned, either a fan of mine or just anybody I grew up with, like these are our type of films.
right,
And there's also a level of maturity to the film too, because again, I watched American Pie and it was just fun from A to
right,
Z.
right,
This is
right.
definitely fun from A to Z, but there's some very strong messages in there. We'll
Yeah,
talk a little
yeah.
bit about it, but
The whole movie's a
uh,
great message.
a
So,
1000%. But yeah, I looked at your character, Stu, and I said, yeah, this is Stifler all the way. Maybe not overly as raunchy as Stifler, and obviously times have changed, so there's but so much you can get away with, how other films would. But I thought it was a much mature Stifler. And then you
right.
really made it your own. And Sean William Scott, legend, without a doubt. But
Absolutely.
here's what I always wanted to tell you. The biggest comparisons isn't really the character. I think it was the performance all the way, because when you look at Sean's performance as Steve, you say, "Oh, this guy is going to be special." And
Yeah.
we can call it what it is. That franchise is as successful as his performance, without a doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
Just what
Absolutely.
it
And
is.
in the later movies, Stifler's character was kind of the centerpiece. Everything was devised around Stifler because they saw that. There was something there. He was the comedic tone. He was the guy that took it into the places that everybody wanted to see it be taken. But with
Yeah.
my character, I really wanted to try to play him straightforward.
Yeah.
I knew right off the bat this is a Steve Stifler-esque type character, that quintessential douchebag, frat boy, asshole, jerk. I can be that, but I really tried to, in my mind, like it's a fun comedy, but at the same time, I'm like going, okay, if I'm this guy, I'm the Johnny Lawrence of Karate Kid right now.
Yes.
This guy
Yes.
shows up to my school, tries to take my woman and join my fraternity and take over. I don't think so, man. So that's where I wanted to take the character, was because you got to find a little bit of something
Yep.
in every character that is you. I went to college. I was in a fraternity. I was an idiot, just like this guy at times, I'm sure. Maybe not as bad, but you know, it's a heightened version.
Yeah,
So, but at
that's
the same time, I wanted to play it straight. I felt like playing it straight is the best. Don't be, Nico was the guy that can be out there and big
yep,
and make these big jokes and be wild. And my character has to be straightforward for it to be funny. You
yep.
have to.
Yep, a thousand% agree. God, you can make it. You
Yeah.
just washing all my questions away because these are some of my assumptions I had. And I appreciate that. And even to wrap that point, I feel the same way about you. I feel like whether there's a franchise to be made within this universe or you and Andy just decide to be tag team partners for the rest of your career, I think there's
Oh man.
a vast amount of trust between the two of you two that had you shine in a film that had these juggernaut of actors in there to the point that, like, sure, I want to see more Britt. Obviously, I watched a lot of Ty this year, but give me more Zach. I want to see this guy on screen more. I want to see
Man, I
him
love to
really
hear that.
loosen up, man. No
I
doubt,
love
no
to hear
doubt.
that.
And
Yeah, I
to
mean,
your point,
that was, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you
no, no, no,
off.
no, no.
I have a
Go ahead,
tendency
go
to
ahead.
do
No, no,
that.
no.
Just,
You're
just
good.
punch
You're
me
good.
through the
You're good.
screen, man. Um, no, no, I was just going to say, like, I wanted, I'd be lying if I didn't say I wanted to steal every single scene I was in. And I went into that scene with the intention of, this is my scene, because that was part of my character too. He wants all this all the time. It's
Yep.
got to be on him all the time. But at the same time, in parallel vision to reality, this was my time to shine. I had to either go all in or that's it, So I knew this was my opportunity. But at the same time, I wanted to be respectful because you can't play it too flamboyant in that way to where you're overpowering because it's disrespectful to the actor. But one of the coolest things is with my character being such a douchebag, when I would push, it got them to push a little bit more, which pulled a better performance out of them, especially when there's so many improv. There's so much improv in this film, especially like the little, pushbacks between me and Nico. A
Yeah,
lot of that made the film is complete improv,
that's
where he
amazing.
says, I fuck you. And I'm like, the fuck? Like that was real. Like, I'm like, and then the look back to my guy Johnny, like, like those little things we brought out in each other.
Yeah,
And again, it was because I love to hear what you said about, stealing the screen because I wanted that spotlight. That was my opportunity. And I knew this was my opportunity to show Andy and Warner and the whole world, what Zach Scheer's about, what I can give. And it's
yeah,
such a small character,
yeah,
but I wanted it to blow up. I wanted it to people to remember it because when you think of American Pie, you think of Stifler. You
yep,
really do. And there are a
yep.
lot of douchebags. Johnny Lawrence, another one. You think of him.
Iconic still to this
He's not
day.
going anywhere, And it's crazy to compare the two because at the end of the day, our film is it's a tiny production compared to them. But
Yeah.
you got to go for that. You got to go all in with everything you do. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Yeah, no
So,
doubt. No doubt. And yeah, I love to hear that a lot was improvised because
yeah.
I think one again going back to Andy and the production to trust the cast to do so. And there's some amazing chops in this film. And as you
Oh yeah.
mentioned,
Yeah.
you just eat it up. And this is why I love the film too, because it has so much rewatchability because you find yourself laughing on top of laughs. You're just like, oh wait, did I just miss something? And you
Yeah.
go back and you
I've
pick up
watched it
those
a
little
couple times.
things.
You find more stuff. You
Yep.
find more things. You're like, dude, I didn't even catch that. Like,
Yeah.
there's a super funny part that if you do watch it again, find
Hmm.
this part. So the character of Chaz, and you remember Chaz, like my
Hmm.
like minion guy.
Hmm.
There's so many small little nuanced things that he does that you can find in the background that are so funny. There's one where, when we're doing the booze cathlon and I'm trying to pour the drink in there and I say, get your fucking hands off me because he keeps
Yeah.
trying to touch me, right? First off, that was improv too. He was just like warming me up. So I'm like, but there's a super funny part where he's touching me. I've already told him to stop touching me like 4 times. And right when I say, get your fucking hands on me, he turns around and grabs Greg and starts massaging him. And you find that I saw that, dude, and I'm like, that's so genius, so hilarious, So there's little nuanced things like that to where you catch them, or like little jokes that maybe there was so much going on that when the joke came out, you didn't quite let it sink because you were
Mhm.
watching all the other visual effects that were going on, like in the physicality of the film. And
Yeah.
when I watch it, I always find something, especially with Nico, because man, Nico's a genius. And there's little things you catch with Nico that you're just like, man, that guy's a genius. He's so good. He's
Yeah,
so good.
I just realized in my recent watch, when Nico yells out, "That's a huge dick." That's a play off of Adam Sandler's "That's a huge bitch." And I just
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
help
exactly. 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 That
Oh,
was the
Deuce Bigelow
funnest
from Deuce
scene.
Bigelow. Yeah,
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. That was the funnest scene to film with Nico, just going back and forth. That was so fun. When I just the bloopers that could have come out of just that scene right there, insane. And I'm so happy that Andy included those bloopers at
And
the end
it
of the film,
yes.
because we had, I don't know if you noticed, but when my name pops up, I'm He-Man. I'm dressed
Yeah.
as He-Man. And the reason is because we had a scene that was supposed to be after Lindsay's character, or after Sierra's character Lindsay hooks up with Ty. And I'm trying to get a hold of Lindsay, like, dude, where's my girl?
Mhm.
And we were supposed to go to this Halloween party, and I went as He-Man, and then she goes as Sheila, I think. And then Ty went as Orko, if you remember the He-Man stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And so in that scene, I'm trying to get a hold of my phone. And then I'm like, oh shit, well, I got to go pick up my phone now. I can't just leave it. So then
Yeah.
you see me like searching for my phone. So that blooper reel at the end, man, I'm so glad they put that in, because man, we did not want to cut that out. That was, oh, the fact that Andy told me, dude, you get to dress up as He-Man. I'm like, you're kidding. Only like Dolph Lundgren is like the only person ever to be able to dress up as He-Man, right?
Yeah,
And here I
yeah.
am. I don't even know if there's been ever any other He-Mans. So yeah, I was crazy, but that's what I was pumped about, playing He-Man
Yeah,
for 2 seconds.
you are described as sweet, but a little intense sometime with the abs of the Hulk. So yes, He-Man fits you
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
I want to go back to the beginning of your career here. And
For
I
sure.
did some research, and you give praise to the late great Greg Plitt from Baltimore, Maryland. So about 45 minutes outside of my area. Who
Oh,
was
okay, so you're pretty close
yeah,
to where his. Okay. Yeah.
yep. So somebody who truly was the catalyst to you pursuing your dreams. Could you talk about some of the conversations you've had, and even with his untimely passing, just some of those tools and motivation that he's instilled in you that you continue to use today?
Yeah. I mean, I can't say enough about Greg. I mean, truly one of a kind human being. There's nobody, and there will be nobody ever like him. I started in the fitness industry. That's kind of where I got my foot in the door with a lot of it. And I had met Greg at an Arnold Classic, I think, in like
Mhm.
2011, and I was competing then for men's physique. And I remember he came up to me in behind the curtain before I'm supposed to go out, and he's talking to some of the athletes and stuff, and me and him started having a conversation. And I remember, like, this face looks familiar, but at the same time, I'm dieting. I haven't barely eaten anything. I'm irritable. And
Yeah.
like, I'm having a conversation with the guy, but at the same time, I'm being kind of short and stuff because I'm about to go on stage. There's a level of nervousness, whatever. But I remembered, like, it's the conversation that we had stuck with me a little bit. And I went back. I was in Illinois at this time, is where I grew up. And I'm working in the fitness industry in Illinois. And one of my clients comes up to me and he's like, dude, I finally put the nail on the head. You know who you remind me of? Remind me of this guy. And he pulls up a video, and it's Greg Plitt. And I'm like, dude, I just met that guy at the Arnold Classic. And, so I'm like, man, next year when I meet this guy, I got to talk to him again. So the following year comes around. I think it's like 2012. And I end up bumping into him again. And I go up to him and I'm like, hey, man, I apologize if I was an asshole the last time we talked. I was about to go on stage, blah, blah, blah. But, I told him the story about my client, had watched his videos and was a member to his website and all this stuff. And he's like, no, man. He's like, you know what? I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because you were one of the more memorable conversations I had, because you were real. You didn't give a shit. Most of the time when I'm walking around backstage talking to people are just, telling me what I want to hear and kissing my ass. You were completely you to a T, still gave me the respect, but at the same time, like, you were being real. And I appreciate that. And since then, him and I kind of, we hit it off and we shared contact information. And, I ended up bumping into him again the following year. And we chatted, and I had done a little bit more in the industry at that point. And I remember him asking me, why are you doing this competing? And I'm like, well, dude, I want to get into commercials. I want to get on magazine covers. He's like, dude, do you look at that stage? Do you see anybody up there that's in movies or TV on magazines or anything like that that's doing competing? No. He's like, how many plastic trophies are going to make you feel good, man? If that's what you want to do, you need to go to Chicago, LA, or New York. Well, I'm already in, Illinois. So I said, LA, that's the route to go. This guy literally hooks me up with my first photo shoot ever, hooked me up with my first agent, got me as a production assistant on, somewhat got me as a production assistant on The Perfect Physique, because he had actually passed away by the time I actually was a production assistant on there. But yeah, when I first moved out here, we hung out a couple times, and he had tried to get me to go skydiving with him as like a congrats to come out here. And I'm like, man, I'm sorry, I'm not jumping out of an airplane, bro. You're crazy. And he's like, tell you what, and this is a regret that I have, because he said, tell you what, when you're done being a pussy and you want to face your fear and you want to do something that actually makes you step outside your box, you give me a call. And I remember it was about 2 weeks before he passed away. He was in Istanbul, Turkey. And I shot him a text, and I really had thought about what he said. And I said, hey, let's do it. And he said, all right, when I get back, we'll set a date and we'll do it. And he got back, and about a week later is when he passed. And I'll tell you this, that guy continues to help me from above. Some certain things that have happened in my career that end up tying back to Greg, that it's just insanity how crazy it is. And to be honest, I'm extremely thankful for it. And I learned a lot from Greg. And as a matter of fact, we kind of have a project we're hoping to get started at some point to where I would actually play Greg.
Wow.
And it will start out as a short, and we're going to try to do something good with it. But it's a passion project. So it's not something that it's probably not going to happen for a little bit, because it's going to be something I'm going to have to put my own money in. It's going to be something that, we're going to have to call in some favors and get it started, because we're going to go a short film route and then try to branch it out into something big.
Yeah. There's no timeline in passion, and as long as you do it is all that matters. And I'm instantly on board for this. So, you keep me in the loops for that. It sounds amazing. And what a beautiful and touching story by Greg. His name and reputation.
I could go on and on about the guy, man. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't even have the cojones to come out here and do what I'm doing without having the heart to heart with that guy and talking to him and being mentored by him. And I'm so thankful, because I've met so many people along the way that are like, dude, you got to hang out with Greg. You worked out with Greg. I'm like, yeah. And the one thing that he told me that really stuck with me, when you come out here and you do the acting and you do all that, put all your eggs into that basket. Don't do what I did and be, sometimes acting, sometimes doing the modeling. He's like, I'll never know what it'll be like to go full bore in the acting, because I'm so deeply ingrained in this fitness industry that I can't get out of it. And so that's hindered me in the acting. So what the advice that I give to you, go full bore with that. And that's what I did, especially after he passed. I was like, okay, let's go. And I did some romance novel covers and book covers and magazines and stuff, but at the end of the day, Molly Singer, a project like let's go, let's go, let's do it. Let's go full bore and do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions here. I have to talk about the booze triathlon. And as you mentioned, you
Everybody
went to
loves that scene.
it's fantastic. I told Andy, I said, like, when I talk about other films that I really enjoyed, Beer Fest is one, and I love this
Oh yeah.
take on it, and it's so cool. It's reminiscing back to college. You mentioned you went to college. You was also in the frat. So when you talk about this scene, the competitive nature that I know you have stored in you, but also just the fun atmosphere that was created here. Talk to me about how much acting outside of how much of this was just nostalgic for you.
Oh, dude. So we shot in this firehouse that
Yeah.
was like an old early 1900s firehouse that they had turned into like a small, like you can rent it out and hang out and use it as a house while you're vacationing. And we walk in and they got this set all dressed up awesome. There's beer pong table. There's all these like what do you call it? Video games and stuff, like an arcade game, all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. You go in there and it's like going back to college. There's beer everywhere. There's a claw machine that can come down and grab beer and then drop it in, right? And it's like, I wish they would have put that in the film. That would have been really cool. But just so many
I've
different
never seen
things.
that.
I literally walk on set and I'm like a kid in a candy store. And then that night, we had found out because of the rain that we were going to have to shoot this scene in one day. And it
Mm.
was originally supposed to be spread out into 3 days, and it was supposed to be partially indoor and the majority outdoor. And unfortunately, with the weather, we had no choice, and so they made this huge change up. And they put us on the table. Andy just basically said, "Have fun with it. Go here." I mean, dude, it was just go, go, go. We were all having fun. A lot of that stuff that you see is just us having fun.
I can
I mean, the
tell.
game was there, and then we're just having fun with it. And
Yeah.
everybody came together. The extras came together. All the cast came together. Nobody cried. Nobody whined. We knew it was going to be a long, gruesome night of just going, going, going. But at the end of the day, dude, we're on a movie set. How gruesome can it be? I've grown up in the middle of cornfields. I've got my hands muddy, my feet filled with mud. This is nothing. There's no getting tired here. We're all living our dream. Let's go, right? So, if somebody did get tired, I'm the type of, hey, go home. Go home. You're tired? Go home. You know what I mean? We're on a movie set. We're on a
Yes,
movie
sir.
set here,
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a blast. That Boost Cathlon scene, funnest scene I've ever filmed to date. To date.
That's God, that was amazing. So much fun. And as you talk about it, like, there's so much that you can take from just watching it, and you kind of yourself kind of slip into a little bit of nostalgia. But then the commentary
Oh
on
yeah.
top of it as well just makes it even more fun. So
Oh
I
my
thought
God.
that,
Getting Bob Menery to do that, like we had no idea that was coming. We
wow.
had no idea. We knew that it was supposed to like kind of encapsulate like almost like a fight or like a battle, because you
Hmm.
have those, and each one was that battle. It's just it was done through drinking games,
Yeah.
right? And then to have so it's like a sport, right? And
Yeah.
then to have Bob Memory come on top of that, it was like, how did you pull that off? I don't think that's ever been done in film yet. Something like that. I really
Yeah.
don't. I think
Yeah.
that scene right there, that should go down in the history books. It's so iconic. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And I have a feeling it's going to be, I mean, if you look on TikTok, that scene is everywhere. That's the
Oh,
scene.
really?
And the
Oh,
pants
yeah.
pull
I know
down
I've
scene.
seen that, but yeah. Oh,
That's everywhere, right? So, but yeah, man. And this is a silly, fun film. People are taking it so serious, man. It's like, listen, at the end of the day, if you can't have fun and make fun of humanity a little bit, what are you doing, man? Like,
it's
have some fun with it.
and and honestly, like, it's like it's almost like a gift and a curse, because like it comes out at a time where we really, really
We need it.
needed it to. We needed
Yes.
it.
You
And at
turn
the
on the
same
TV,
time,
it's so depressing, man. Like let's turn on to something to where we can sit back, laugh, and kind of get a little giggle out of something to where we
exactly.
smile. That's what it's about, man. Like,
And I just felt so bad, because I'm just like, there's so much talent, and I'm thinking about like seeing a full blown press run from you all, and whether y'all
yeah, we
did a
kind of
red
got short
carpet.
sighted, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's just
I
y'all
was
did
upset
a
with that a little
huge,
bit,
yeah.
but because I'll tell you, if we wouldn't have had the strike, I really think this film would have gotten a lot more, recognition than it's
Yeah.
gotten.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we had pushed it off a little bit too long. I feel like, well, I wouldn't say we, I'd say Lionsgate, but I wish we would have been able to do that, because that was scheduled. We were going to have some good touring, some press, some all that
Yeah.
stuff. I really think that it would have helped, but you know what, man? Everything happens for a reason, and
Yeah.
I don't know what the reason is yet. Whether or not it's just supposed to be like, hey, let's see what
Yeah.
you can do with it, and the next one's going to be that.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at this game. You just got to roll with the punches, get it
Yeah.
done, and move on. That's all you can do. You
And
know.
even speaking from my end, I think there's a lot of tremendous films that don't get the love and appreciation it initially deserves.
Absolutely.
But with the landscape of things shifting so much, I guarantee this film ends up on Netflix in a couple of months, and everybody's talking about it. It's like, oh my God, have you seen it? Have you
Oh
seen it?
yeah.
Have you seen it? And it's just like, yeah, we've
Look
seen
at
it.
Suits.
Welcome
Like,
to the
look at
party.
Suits, man. Like,
Exactly,
Suits
exactly,
just
exactly.
blew up, man.
That's
Like,
the
and my
best
wife, she's
example.
an attorney. But my wife, we love that
Yeah.
because and she's like, where was this show before? It's always
Kill
been there. It's been around
Yeah, on
forever.
USA Network
So
years ago. For
yeah,
years.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
So I'm
entirely
praying
right.
that's what happens,
Yeah,
But
yeah,
at the end of the day, we did something amazing. I'm proud of it. I know Andy's
yeah,
proud of it.
yeah,
My family's proud of it. And at the end of the day, I'm doing it for my family. I'm showing them that it's worth it to chase your dream. Because when I first decided to come out here, there's a lot of people against it. My
all the
grandfather
time.
was probably the most important person in my life to date. Before I came out here, and of course I'm married, and she's the most important person in my life to date. Now, my grandfather passed away in 2019, and I remember when I let him know that I was going to leave Illinois and a good job. I was making six figures and go out after this job, this acting career. He wasn't having it, man. He basically
Yeah,
cut me out. He told me, "Nope, you're not doing it. You do it. That's it." I mean, this is the most iconic person in my eyes at this point in my life, and
mhm,
still is to this day. For him to say that, I was like, "Oh man!" But I believed in myself, and I remember I sat down with him and I said, "Pop, listen, you're, I think at the time he was like 75, 76. I said, listen, man, I said, being your age right now, I'm sure that there was something at my age you wished you would have went after. And now that window is closing and it's locked tight. You can't go back. That
yeah,
physicality you would have needed to do it or whatever it is, it's gone. Age
yeah,
caught up to you and it's over.
mm,
I don't want to ever sit back and wonder what if.
what if?
And he
Yeah,
didn't really care at first. And I remember that night, I stayed the night at his house, at my grandparents' house. And the next morning, 5 a.m., he knocks on the door, says, "Get into breakfast, come to breakfast." And he said, "I thought all night long about what you said to me. I didn't sleep a wink. And I believe in you. I think you can do it. I see,
there
I
you
see that
go.
conviction in your eyes. You got 2 years to go out there and do something. So do it." And that's all I needed, man. When I had his backing, that's it.
Yeah,
That's all I needed. So
y
at the end of the day, that's what we're doing it for. We're doing it for those who we love, and the people that are gonna take it too serious. That's whatever. Have fun
yeah.
with it.
You got a lot of angels above, man. Proud of you, man, and without a
Thank you.
doubt, as I mentioned, I'm on board to seeing where the rest of your career goes. This was just a fantastic performance in this
Thank you,
film
man.
for one of my favorite films this year. So I definitely want to leave off with two extra questions really quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I want to give you a moment to kind of talk about your cast members. We've mentioned so many names here. We've given praise to so many different folks. But whether there's anybody else that we kind of left off, or anybody else you want to give their flowers to, or just good moments that you've had together, or just more outtakes that kind of stuck with you since. And I could imagine just by the array of what we got on screen, the rest of the ones that we might not have gotten, but nonetheless, just a moment for you to kind of reflect on the time of filming and the folks involved.
I genuinely hope that this comes out on Blu-ray because I'm sure Andy, being Andy, he's such a film guy. And he loves bloopers and outtakes. I'm sure he'll throw him in there. I would love to see him because I can only imagine what's there. But I have to say, man, the most memorable thing for me on set is just hanging out with Stu's crew. I mean, that's what we called it, you know. So Johnny, Greg, and Chaz, all three of those guys, just hanging out with them was amazing. Um, just hanging out with those guys. Tyler, he plays Johnny. Paris, he plays Greg, and Andrew, he plays Chaz. Hanging out with those guys, when we were kind of just waiting to shoot and stuff like that, we had a blast. And honestly, Ty was right there with us. Even though I'm giving Ty Simpkins a lot of shit throughout the movie, Ty's such a great guy. Him and I got to know each other very well. We still keep in touch a lot. And man, talk about just a class act. Ty's such a good guy, so talented, and honestly, he reminds me of like this generation's River Phoenix. To be honest with you, like I really see a lot of that in him. And River Phoenix was one of my favorite actors, man. And but yeah, just everybody did such a good job in this movie, man. Everybody went well above and beyond. Nobody played it like I'm too cool for this.
Yeah.
Everybody's a professional. Everybody did good work. But yeah, I gotta give props to my Stu's crew, man, to my boys.
Love it, love it, love it. And for final questions, because now that things are back to work for you all, do you have anything that we can speak about in terms of promoting any future projects on the way, or how you navigating now post strike?
Yeah. So post strike, I kind of met with my agent. I'm like, hey, let's set up a game plan. Let's go full bore. Let's do some things. So we're kind of playing with that right now, game plan wise. I'm in like a weird medium as far as age range right now because like of course I'm sure that I'm going to have some projects that are more college-esque now from this film, but at the same time, like I can still play like the older type characters too. So like we're really kind of deep diving into the discussion of where we're going to go with that.
Okay.
I love action films. I do have a project that is hopefully going to take off now that the SAG strike is over with. And the director that's attached is Sheldon Lettich, which Sheldon Lettich, he wrote Bloodsport, directed, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Lionheart. He wrote Lionheart, Double Impact, all that stuff. He's a legend in that world, in that martial arts world. Well, I've been doing martial arts since I was 4 years old. I don't know if you look it up, but I got a semi-pro fight. You can find it online. In the cage, and I used to fight on the U.S. national taekwondo team. So all that's my heart right there. That martial arts and action and some really action-oriented dramas. That's where I want to go. But it looks like that's probably going to be the next one to take off. I'm hoping. But there's also some projects with Andy that I can't really go into full bore with. That's more than likely.
I tried to poke him too.
So, and one of them's a biggie. So
okay.
What's that?
I said I tried to poke him too earlier, so
I didn't hear. Oh no, yeah, you poked him. Yeah. It's a good one, man. It's gonna be a good one, man.
Awesome.
It's a great script. It's gonna be good.
Awesome. Well, listen, folks. The Re-Education of Molly Singer is available right now.
I think I might have lost you. We good?
We're good. Can you hear me?
It's going in and out. I got you.
You hear me?
Yeah,
you hear me?
I got you. Can you hear me?
Okay, cool. Yep. All right, folks. So the Re-Education of Molly Singer is available right now on digital and on demand. You totally want to check it out. As I said, this is one of my favorite films this year that is filled with so much fun, laughs, the nostalgic of being in college, even paying homage to some of the greats, as I mentioned, Beer Fest and American Pie, amongst others as well. But with everything that's happening in the world, here's a film you can sit back, watch, have a lot of laughs, kind of detach from everything that's happening around you, but also kind of tap back into your days of being in college and having fun. And that whole what if I, as an adult, could go back and do it again. They hit it all in this film. And again, speaking to one of the stars, Zach, who plays the character Stu Gable, who is, well, for lack of better words here, he's a little bit of a prick, but he's kind of likable, but he's truly relatable. We've all met these type of Stu characters down the line, but what's unique about it is that Zach plays this guy to the T, very authentic, and possibly, giving you the idea of, well, what is more life with this character Stu? What's more life with him? Let's see what his day-to-days are. It sets up for a lot of possibilities, if you ask me. But nonetheless, you got to go check it out. And Zach, again, thank you so much for your time today and talking about your role today.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you. We got to do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Attaining.